I'm going to tell you how to study effectively, and 99% of you won't do it. The ultimate formula in med school for success is first to understand the topic. Second is to have some form of note-taking, which I'll explain shortly after. Third is to have a memorization technique. Fourth is self-testing. So you need a method of testing yourself to see, do you know the information or not? And then you repeat the process over and over again until everything is crisp and clear. We're going to work through those one by one, all right? Don't worry. So first, you're going to have to try and understand the information. How do you do that? It's in class. You listen to the lecture, you watch the lecture, you watch the YouTube video, whatever it is. To understand it, you should be able to recreate whatever you have been taught in your own words or in your own schematic and drawing, and you should be able to explain it to a friend. If you can do those things, you have a good grasp of the content. Step 2 is having a form of taking notes. Now, it doesn't have to be writing on paper or even typing it up. You can make flashcards, which is what I do. So any information I get taught in class, I convert it into a question and an answer. If the lecturer says the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell, I would write down in my notes, what is the powerhouse of the cell? And in the answer, I would write the mitochondria. And the reason I do that is it makes it easy for me to use my notes to revise. Because when I come to revising, instead of just reading a blank piece of paper that says the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell, that's just passive. I'm active with my learning. I look at a question, I say, oh, what is the powerhouse of the cell? And I think back, oh yeah, it's the mitochondria. I check the answer and I say, cool, I am correct. Because I memorized it, I brought it from memory, that's called active recall. I'm actively recalling the information. So that's what you want to do for all of your notes. The best thing about this is you don't have to. They have already been made online. If you're in the UK, if you're in the US, wherever you study, somebody has already made these notes because medicine is largely the same everywhere you go. Once you have created notes that are easy for you to self-test with later on, the next step is to implement spaced repetition and consistency. How do you do that? Is basically if you study something today is day 0. You want to look at that information again, probably on day 1, which is tomorrow. After day 1, you want to study again the same topic, but instead of waiting 1 day, you want to increase that interval to 2 days. After 2 days, study it again and increase the interval to maybe 4 days, 5 days, 6 days. And as time goes on, every time you repeat revising the information, you increase the gap. It gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So you're basically going from a 1-day memory to a 5-day memory, a 10-day memory, a 20-day memory. And you'll reach a point where you don't have to look at the information for a few weeks, but it's still fresh in your mind. That's how spaced repetition works, and it is scientifically proven to be effective. I would recommend just using Anki flashcards. The app is free. It has spaced repetition as an algorithm built in, and because they're flashcards, they're automatically active recall. So you've got all of the 3 golden things all in one. The final bit is self-testing. After you've studied the information, the individual facts and the processes, you want to use question banks, because in med school, all of your exams will be questions with multiple choice answers or maybe short written answers depending where you study. So you need to replicate that in your studying so that you're ready for the exam. And the best way is to just use a question bank. In the UK, people tend to use PassMed. In the US, people use UWorld and Amboss. In other countries, I don't know what people use, but find a question bank that's suited for your exam. This is the part that none of you are going to do, although it's really, really important. The first is sleeping properly. During your sleep, you have REM sleep. In REM sleep, that's when you create memories. That's when your brain makes new connections with the stuff you learned today. Most students sleep terribly, so the work that they do doesn't really get saved in the head. So make sure you prioritize sleep. The next thing is having a good diet. Listen, if a car has good fuel in it, it's going to run well. If a car has bad fuel, it's not going to run well. Your body is the same. The food you eat is your fuel. If you eat crap food, you're going to feel crap. You're going to struggle to focus. You'll be lazy and lethargic and tired all the time. It's not going to work, right? So you need to eat good, nutritious food. Next is exercise. Now you might think, how is exercise related to studying? It is, right? If you exercise, you have more energy. You also sleep better. You have more energy, you are able to focus and pay more attention in class, and you're just going to perform at a better level in everything that you do. Exercise is also going to relieve stress, it's going to help you manage your mental health, it's going to do a whole load of other benefits for you, and one of them is helping you in your studying. Consistency is the final thing. If you want success, you need to consistently use the techniques I've told you and study throughout the year rather than waiting right until the exam 2 weeks before and then cramming studying. But getting into the habit of doing a little bit of work every day. right? It doesn't have to be much, just 20-30 minutes. Just quickly going over the stuff from this week is going to help. Look at your schedule. Some weeks are going to be heavy, some weeks are going to be light, right? When you have a light week, that's a time for you to start revising on the previous things. And when you have a heavy week, you anticipate that and you maybe do a bit less studying that week to focus on the new content. I'm not going to sit here and say that this is easy. What I've just told you is probably one of the hardest things about med school. It's not the content. It's not the actual stuff you have to learn. That really is quite simple. It makes sense. The difficulty is the discipline. It's like working every single day. It's waking up and doing it over and over again. It's studying 7 months before the exam when there's no real need to, but you know that if you do, it's going to benefit you later on. Take it easy. You're not going to be a master of studying from the first year. You will gradually, I hope, get better and better each year. And what I would do is reflect after your exams. Go home and reflect and say, what do I feel like right now? Do I wish I studied more? Do I wish I started earlier? What could I have done better? Write it down, make a video of it or something, and then next year when you get to exams, when you get to studying, you rewatch and look at the reflection you did and think, okay, cool, we're going to fix these problems. I think that's everything I can think of now. Probably have more to say. Check my website, check my other videos, check my newsletter. There's so much information out there for free that's going to help you. And anyone who does this stuff, come back to me in like 9 months. I'm telling you, you will be successful.